تعكس هذا الشيء. Anyway, so now let's shift into Arabic. خلينا نتحول إلى اللغة العربية. By the way, we have three types of mood: the indicative mood, the subjunctive mood, and the jussive mood. These are the three types of mood in Arabic. If you look at the examples in this slide, you will see, you will easily recognize that all of them contain present verbs. All of these three mood types, all of them contain verbs in the present. But what is the difference? The difference is that in the jussive mood, in the subjunctive mood, there are particles preceding the present verb, and these particles entail changes in the present verb. Changes on the level of tense, on the level of mood, and so on. Now, in the first example, which says لن أبرح مكاني هذا, لن أبرح مكاني هذا. So, what is there in Arabic, and how can we render into English?
I won't leave this place.
Okay, thank you. لن أبرح مكاني هذا. As you can see, the present verb أبرح is in the subjunctive mood because we have the fatha marker due to the presence of the subjunctive mood particle, which is لن. So لن in Arabic does some functions. يعني تعطيك بعض الوظائف. First, it negates the sentence. هذا الأمر الأول. Second, it changes the mood. غيرت لنا المود from the indicative into the subjunctive. يعني تغيرت حال الفعل من الرفع إلى النصب. So when I render into English, the result is what? I won't leave my place. I won't, or I will not leave my place. So here, the mood in English is still indicative. يعني حتى من أنف الجملة المود بالإنجليزية ما راح يتحول من مود إلى مود آخر. It remains the same. يبقى نفسه. And this is a big difference. اختلاف كبير بين اللغتين. So when I say I won't leave my place, still we have the indicative mood. And I would like you to go to grammar books and read about the subjunctive mood in English, for example, in order to see what is there. What is the difference between the subjunctive mood in Arabic and the subjunctive mood in English? You have to be well acquainted with these. Now, in the second example, لم يذهب إلى المكتبة البارحة. Here we have the particle لم, and this particle has three functions. بها ثلاث وظائف. First, it negates the sentence. Second, it changes the tense from the present into the past. Third, it changes the mood from the indicative into the jussive mood, اللي هو حالة الجزم بالنسبة للفعل. And you can see that the present verb يذهب has the marker سكون, يعني بحركة أو علامة السكون. Why? Because it is in the jussive mood. Why it becomes jussive? Because it is preceded by the particle لم. And in this example, the negation is not temporary, it is permanent. نفي قطعي, نفي دائم. In order to reflect this into English, we say he didn't go. He didn't go to the library yesterday. In the third example, there is no particle preceding the present verb. So the present verb expresses an indicative mood. يكتب أحمد مقالا. And it is quite easy to render into English saying, for example, Ahmed writes an essay this week, or Ahmed is writing an essay, are acceptable. So the jussive mood in Arabic, there are particles preceding the present verb. And in English, the third type is the imperative mood, اللي هي حالة الأمر بالنسبة. And if you render an imperative mood sentence in English into Arabic, the result is a jussive verb. راح يظهر لك فعل شبيه يكون عادة مجزوم بالسكون. طبعا إذا علة راح يحذف حرف علة وما إلى ذلك. It depends in Arabic. بالكتاب اللي التايتل مالته significance of contrastive grammar، اكو فد كلام حول قضية imperative mode بعد ما قضية الفويس. اكو بصفحة 48 بالكتاب مكتوب عندكم title mode in Arabic and English. هذا الشابتر تقريبا بنهاية الشابتر أيضا شايرين إلى the types of the mood، وأكو تطرق إلى قضية imperatives أيضا. Few pages but they are important and there is a good comparison comparing the imperative whether in English and in Arabic. Now let's move on. Harking back to English, we have other models like can or could, must, and so on. Also, they give us certain meanings. And the first one, can we sit down in here? This is permission. And again, in order to reflect this into Arabic, I have to use first a question particle, يعني فتح حرف استفهامي معين. Then I reflect by using a lexical item, I reflect the notion of permission. استئذان أو السماح. ممكن نقول هل يسمح لنا؟ هل بإمكاننا أن؟ وهكذا. So there is هل, which is a question particle plus a lexical item showing the meaning intended. The same auxiliary can show permission in the past, and permission in the past it becomes could مثل ما موجود بالمثال الثاني. As it is shown in the second example, the prisoners could leave the camp only by permission of the governor. So here, because the tense is past, the translator should reflect this fact. This is one. And because it is permission, again, he should use a lexical item reflecting this meaning, which is permission. So we can say كان مسموحا للنزلاء، كان مسموحا للأسرى بمغادرة المعسكر. إيش وقت أكو شرط يقول only by permission of the governor، فقط بإذن الحاكم. Now in the third, you must be back by 2 o'clock. Here we have the modal auxiliary must, and the intended meaning is the obligation in the present. So you know that in English there are some modals that can reflect obligation: should, have to, must, ought to, and so on, depending on context, dear students. Depending on context, which is utilized by the intended meaning. The speaker has an intention in his mind, and he wants to reflect this intention through what? Through the modal auxiliaries, as far as English is concerned. Who can translate this one? You must be back by 2 o'clock. Who can render?
يجب عليك. يتحتم عليك العودة عند الثانية.
لا، ما هي عنده هنا، الباي تختلف. ما المثال ما قايل at 2 o'clock. لو قايل at 2 o'clock نعم أقول عنده.
حوالي.
يعني تقريبا قبل حلول الساعة الثانية. قبل حلول الساعة الثانية لازم أنت تكون موجود. إذن هنا إجبار قوي، إجبار واضح، إجبار صريح. أقول يجب أن، لا ينبغي أن، من الواجب أن، وهكذا. خلينا ننتقل إلى الأمثلة الأخرى بها غير أفعال مساعدة أيضا تفيد الإجبار، لكن أكو اختلافات بيناتهم. It says here all students should submit their work by given date. Here we have the modal auxiliary should, and the intended meaning is that not all students can do this. It means the work may not be fulfilled. يعني مو كل الطلاب تقدر. لذلك المتحدث استخدم should to give this meaning. Now, how can a translator reflect this fact? أنا كمترجم شلون أعكس هاي القضية إنه مو كل الطلبة تقدر تنجز أن ترسل أعمالها بتاريخ معين، تاريخ محدد. What do you say?
من المفترض أن يسلم كل الطلاب أعمالهم بالوقت المحدد.
يجب على كل الطلاب إرسال عملهم في وقت معين.
Okay, but using يجب أن this is a strong obligation. إذا أستخدم اليجب بعد ما بيها مجال، الكل تسلم واجباتها، ماكو استثناء، ماكو مراعاة للظروف عندما أقول يجب، قطعي هذا الكلام. So all students should submit their work by a given date. The meaning intended is that not all the students are able to submit their work. So it's best in Arabic to use a lexical item reflecting this fact, where we can say من المفترض أن يسلم جميع الطلبة أعمالهم by a given date، يعني في ضمن تاريخ محدد أو معين. But here in the next one you have the modal auxiliary have to. This is what stronger than should. You have to sign your name here. بعد ما بيها مجال، ما بيها استثناء. لذلك المعنى in brackets. Otherwise the document isn't valid. بعد الوثيقة غير سارية المفعول. Without what? Without signing your name. And in Arabic you can say يجب أن، ينبغي أن، يتوجب أن،
يلزم عليك أن،
عليك أن، yes، وهكذا. So in Arabic, put into consideration that the equivalent of modal auxiliaries in English, it is what? It is using lexical items. Now, another notion, another type of mood is to give commands. How to influence people? By giving commands, by giving orders, by requesting, by asking things. And there are direct ways and there are indirect ways. Pragmatically speaking, indirect ways are more polite than the direct ones. Even in Arabic, the same. أكو أمر غير مباشر وأكو أمر مباشر. الأمر الغير مباشر أكثر تأدبا من خلال استخدام بعض المفردات للتقليل من حدة الأمر. يعني to lessen the effect of the order or the command. So influencing people is done by what? By giving commands. For example, I say, shut the door. You are to shut the door. Will you shut the door? And could you shut the door? When there is an auxiliary, such as will you or could you, when there is an auxiliary, the effect is less. It is more polite. And using auxiliaries which are in the past form, again, is more polite than using auxiliaries in the present form. For example, could you shut the door is more polite than will you shut the door. And these two, could you and will you, are more polite than you are to shut the door and shut the door, which is more direct. Now, as far as the first one is concerned, shut the door, how can we render into Arabic? We say what?
أغلق الباب.
أغلق الباب. What is the marker of أغلق? What is the marker? شنو التحريك مالته؟
سكون.
سكون. So it is in the jussive mood. لاحظ. Imperative mood in English is equivalent to the jussive mood in Arabic. This is as a way of comparison. So in Arabic, also we have direct commands by what? By introducing our clauses with what? With an imperative verb. يعني أبدي جملتي بفعل أمر. Now, shut the door. Where is the subject? Where is the subject?
أنت.
So it is you. In Arabic, it is أنت. It is you. Is it explicit or implicit? يعني قصدي الفاعل واضح؟ لا، الفاعل غير موجود. يعني on the surface على السطح يعني من حيث الشكل there is no subject, but implicitly ضمنيا there is a subject which is what? Which is you, the addressee, المخاطب. Is it male or a female, the addressee? Who can say? Who can guess? Is it male or غير محدد. جيد. So in Arabic, can we express the subject clearly? يعني is the subject explicit in Arabic? I am talking about imperatives. جمل الأمر. يعني sometimes in Arabic the subject is explicit unlike English. على العكس من اللغة الإنجليزية, and this is a difference between Arabic and English. So imperative mode, as far as English is concerned, what is equivalent for them is the jussive mood in Arabic. The subject is usually absent in English, but in Arabic, no. It is quite explicit. Thank you for your participation, for your listening, and inshallah we meet next session. Take care, goodbye.